All right. Oh, all right. Just turn that down. Yep. The water. All right, Shalom, Israel. We are the ISUPK, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commandant General Yohana. And since 1969, we've been teaching the Blacks, Hispanics, and Natives their true identity from the Bible. Tonight is Wednesday's night law class. So we're going to be going into a couple different topics on why the law is important and on how we need to look back on our ancestors and on the times of old and what we used to do. Because nowadays we fall into destruction because we don't understand. We fall victim to a lot of things because we're not aware enough. So if you could give me the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 5, because for the Blacks and Hispanics and Natives, I need them to know that everybody is not your friend. Everybody is not a loved one. Everybody is not a neighbor. And you have to keep these things in mind because this nation or Babylon, where we live, they're going to try to paint us all as one people. What's the motto of America? Anybody know? Anybody in the class? Anybody on the chat? What's America's motto?
Land of the free.
That's one of them. That's one of them. Hey, Salakia, let me get that charger too. Let me get that charger. But land of the free is one of them. Sis, you got any?
I was thinking of one nation.
Correct. One nation under God. So this is America's motto. We are one nation under God. So now when we look at this place who considers us all to be one nation, when we look at this place who considers us to be one nation, it's a lot of things that goes on in this nation because it's a lot of things that get overlooked. It's a lot of matters that don't get judged properly. And also in this place, our people see everybody as one, just like this place once. You got that scripture?
You said Ecclesiastes
Chapter 3, verse 5.
That time to cast away.
The time. Yep.
Con. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 5. A time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together.
Right. So what we see with that is it's a time to cast away stones, and it's a time to gather stones. Read the next verse.
A time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing.
So there's a time for us to embrace others. But there's also a time when we have to refrain from embracing. And we have to understand that everybody's not, supposed to be embraced. Everybody's not supposed to be loved. Is there any more in that verse?
Verse 6.
Go ahead.
A time to get and a time to loose.
Right. It's like it. Go ahead.
A time to keep and a time to cast away.
Right. So there's a time to keep. There's basically a time for everything. That's what we see in the scripture. So I want to ask everybody, how many of y'all know about the sister Sade Robinson or about the case of Maxwell Anderson? Anybody know about it? Anybody familiar with that case? Anybody seen anything on social media about that?
Saying a little bit about the guy that went on a trip with his buddies, his Caucasian buddies.
Not that one. So this case is a case of a sister. She was 19 years old. Her name is Sade Robinson, and she went out on her first date with an Edomite.
Okay.
And her going out on this date with this Edomite unfortunately cost her life. So you familiar with that?
Like they said, she went to or he tried to make it seem like it was suicide.
Right.
But it wasn't.
And it turns out that unfortunately he went all the way through with it, and he dismembered her and so on and so forth. If you could pull up the video that I got saved on there. Hold on, I just added it to the stage. If you could just play it. So we gonna listen to the verdict of this trial for a little bit, and then we gonna touch back in. And remember the scripture that we read. There's a time for everything.
Past record. And I'll agree with the defense that the prior record on its face is not as egregious as many cases I see in my courtroom. Quite often you see a background filled with felonies and violence. But what I said was on its face.
If y'all can hear the video, give
When
me a
you
1
look
in
at
the
the
chat. If you
record
can't, give me a 2.
as it's worked through in the pre-sentence investigation, I'll agree with the state that there are some red flags that jump out at you that that show a level of violence that maybe it may have been a precursor. You know, when you look at the original case mentioned from Pewaukee from March of 2010, it looks like it's an underage drinking party. And when the officers come in, they find a bunch of people hiding, and they indicate they're about to do a search. And later there's people saying that they were being held in the home against their will. Kind of a weird comment to have on an underage drinking party. Ultimately, they find Mr. Anderson hiding behind an entertainment center. He's belligerent. He tells the police, "Fuck you, I hope you're proud to serve your country this way." He's then very coarse and his comments are obscene. He then urinates in a police vehicle and calls a female police officer a cunt. Inappropriate. Then we have
We finally moved from California to Delaware, and it was the best decision we ever made.
Yeah.
Except for
that's under our Constitution, the rights that exist.
Want the fastest working GLP-1?
All right, Salakia, the video is not cooperating right now, but I'll give y'all a gist. Long story short, the dude Maxwell Anderson, he unalived his supposed girlfriend, and they were supposedly supposed to go out on a first date. And long story short, I just wanted to bring some awareness to this, because if our young sisters are going out thinking that every nation is gonna, welcome them with open arms, then they're sadly mistaken. Like I hear so much black men and black women trying to search outside of their culture, because they feel as though their culture isn't good enough, or they feel as though it's too many problems within their culture. If you could give me the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 3. So we're going to see what the Most High thinks about this. And we're going to see if there was any, advice that was set up before that this sister could have leaned on to maybe avoid, falling into that, unfortunate case.
Khan, this is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them, thy daughters.
So Salakia, let's skip up to verse 1. So let's see who the them is in this verse that they're talking about.
This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 1. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it.
So the Lord is going to bring us into the land that we're going to possess. Read on.
And has cast out many neighbors before thee.
Nations.
Salakia. And has cast out many nations before thee. The Hittites, and the Gershites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jezebites. 7 nations gathered,
Greater.
Salakias, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou.
So these are other nations who are supposedly bigger and stronger than us at the time. Read on.
And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee,
So when the Lord is going to put them in our hands under our rulership. Read on.
thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them, and shall make no covenant with them.
So we can't make any deals with these people when it comes to marriages. Now we could deal with them on a regular basis, but we can't deal with them in a manner of marriages,
Right.
in a manner of living amongst them in a relationship environment, I should say, or just in a closed environment, or in a space where our cultures mix. That was never intended to happen. Give me verse 3.
Verse 3, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son.
So we see that the Most High warned us and said that we shouldn't give our daughters to these people, because these people are not our people. These people don't have the same customs as us. These people don't have the same traditions as us. These people don't have the same right and wrong as us. So when you get dealt with falsely, they might not even see it as them dealing with you falsely. When you get dealt with in a manner that you're not used to, they might not see that as ungodly or, just unrighteous. And now you fall into situations that isn't, was never meant for you to fall into. It was so avoidable. Read on.
Nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son.
So in verse 4, the Most High is going to give a description for why he says this. Read on.
For they will turn away thy son from following me.
Listen, he said that if we were to make marriages with these people, we would no longer follow him. Why is that? Read on.
That they may serve other gods.
Because you're going to start to serve their gods, their customs, their traditions. Read on.
So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly.
Suddenly. So we have to wake up. We have to realize that the Lord is not okay with us just marrying whoever we want. The Lord is not okay with us having sexual relations with whoever we want. So we have to start to acknowledge that, so that we don't get destroyed suddenly, like the scriptures say, so that we don't get destroyed quickly, like the prophets prophesied. So we were warned what and what not to do. The law is here. We just have to understand that the law is for us. Give me that verse in Romans about it's high time to wake up. Because we need to wake up. We need to understand that our oppression is coming to an end. The wickedness of this place is going up to the heavens. It's going up to the Most High in Christ. They see everything that's going on. And it's either we're going to choose to be stubborn and not listen to the things that they said in the beginning, or we're going to start to understand that from the beginning, this book, this law, and everything in the earth was set up for our favor. That's the advantage that we have.
Right.
Read it out when you got it.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 11. And that, knowing the time, that now it is high time to wake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believed.
So now our salvation is closer than we believe. So all we had to do is wake up. All we had to do is stop eating shrimp, crab, and lobster, stop sleeping with other nations, and stop treating everybody like our friends, and start realizing that these other nations around us was put around us for a test, and that they are confederate against us. Give me Salakia, if you could add that article to the stage about the brother Daniel Irving, and I'm gonna just have you read a little bit about that, because I'm gonna kind of try to drill it into y'all heads tonight that everybody out here is not your friend, and I'm surprised that we don't understand that, because these other nations are blatantly show you. It's just you choose to be blind to it. Your ancestors wasn't blind to it. Your ancestors knew that they had enemies on the 4th of July back then. But
Right.
nowadays, on the 4th of July, our people are celebrating and thinking that they're free, right along with this nation who says that we're one nation. So they're following along with the plan that this nation has, instead of the plan that the Most High and Christ have. And this is why we fall. This is why we're destroyed. Let me know when you oh, you got it up there. Let me add it to the stage. Slack it. All right. See if you could. All right. You could zoom in a little bit if you could, or not. And right here is an article about Daniel Irving. He was a brother, and he was unalive. He went swimming with his friends, a couple of Edomites, and he was unfortunately unalived. And his friends got taken into custody because his friends actually witnessed him drown, and they tried to cover it up. So we have to, just be a little bit more mindful when we're going to do certain things with people. We have to be a little bit more mindful of the company we keep, basically. Long story short. Read it out when you got it, when you're ready.
Okay, it says Roper told authorities he feared getting in trouble.
So Roper is the friend. Roper is the friend of Daniel Irving, one of the friends who was out there with him swimming. And he's giving a report right now to the authorities about what happened. Salakia, go ahead.
Getting in trouble over the drowning and decided to flee in his vehicle, according to the arrest affidavit. The affidavit also said Roper admitted to deleting text messages between him and Irving. Roper was arrested July 9th, CNN
reported.
CNN reported. The 16-year-old suspect also told police that Roper disposed of Irving's clothes into a tree line near the railroad track bridge, from which they jumped, and instructed him to throw Irving's phone out the vehicle as they flee, according to the document. Authorities recovered some of Irving's clothing and his phone after the juvenile showed them where they had been discarded, the affidavit says.
All right, so you could just drop it right there. So these don't sound like real friends. These don't sound like hold on. So yeah, these don't sound like people you should be going out in vulnerable places with. like a big body of water. You understand? These don't sound like people you can trust. This is why we have to start to just, take another look at things and look through another lens. Like, the scripture says we look through a glass darkly. Give me that scripture, Slakia. If you give me that scripture, because we look through a glass darkly. Does anybody know what that mean in the chat or in the class? Like, imagine you looking through a glass darkly. What would that mean? How could this brother have been looking through a glass darkly in this circumstance? You at it? Salakia.
You can't see it.
Can't see in the dark? That's what you said?
Yeah, you can't see through the glass.
In the dark, right? So you can't make out the whole picture in the dark. You can't make out the whole picture. So blacks, Hispanics, and natives, when they look at any situation, they can't really make it out clearly. They can't really understand what's being shown to them. So you might go and, move to a new area, maybe a nice suburb. You might meet some new people who you deem to be your friends, who you trust. And you might start to do everything with them, let them into your life. But little do you know, they have a perpetual hatred for you. Little do you know, you're looking at them as somebody you could trust, you love, and, forever. But they might be looking at you to cause you harm, or as an enemy, or as competition. So this is why it's very wise to be mindful of who you call enemy. Who you call friend. And you shouldn't count somebody your friend before you test them. That's what we're going to read about. Let me know when you got that scripture.
Khan. This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 13, verse 12. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face, now I know in part, but then shall I know even as also I am known.
Right. So we only know in part, and we look through a glass darkly. So that knowing in part is when you first come into truth and you get in the knowledge, you're not fully aware. You had to keep walking with the Most High so he could keep revealing things to you by his prophets and so on and so forth. But if you're in the world, you're looking through a glass darkly. If you're in the world, you like a brother in the truth would have told that brother, or would have told that sister, hey, look, sis, you shouldn't be dating outside of tribe or outside of your people, because it's very dangerous. Or a brother might have told that brother, Daniel Irving, hey, look, I don't really come chill with us. Come chill with your brothers. We're gonna show you real love. We're gonna show you brotherhood, because there ain't no brotherhood outside of us. So now a brother would have warned them. Give me Ecclesiasticus chapter 6, verse 13. Because we have to see what a real friend looks like. We have to see what a real brother looks like. Because as blacks, Hispanics, and natives, when we look at our communities, we don't see brotherhood. We don't see sisterhood. We see each other tearing each other down. So how could we ever expect to get out of the conditioning that we're in? How could we ever expect to beat the system? Like, you got to think about it. We got real enemies. We have actual enemies, and we still would rather call each other ops. We have real enemies, and sisters would rather still argue over petty things, simple things. Let me know when you got the scripture.
Khan, this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 6, verse 13.
So let me get there with you. All right, you two out.
Separate thyself from thy enemies and take heed of thy friends.
Listen, you got to separate from your enemies. This is the counsel that we received, to separate from our enemies. So now when we look at the brother Daniel Irving, or when we look at the sister Said, who who was unfortunately unalive. The both of these two, we could see how both of these two situations could have been avoided simply by avoiding our enemies and just recognizing who is really our friends and who's really our brothers. And we also had to, do a better job at showing brotherhood and showing sisterhood and making sure that our people have a place to go to actually, so that they don't gotta wander off, you understand, into other communities. Give me the next verse.
A faithful friend is like a strong defense.
So a faithful friend is a strong defense. When you actually have a real friend, or when you actually have a real brother, they won't allow you to go through certain things. They won't allow you to fall in certain areas. So think about it. If the brother Daniel Irving had real friends, when they seen him drown, they would have called for help, or they would have tried to help, instead of trying to cover up the evidence, instead of trying to flee. You understand? Because they are wicked and because they're not true friends, they left that brother to rot. And I feel for his family, because that brother was just trying to go out, have a swim, but that brother wasn't mindful that I can't do everything with everybody. I can't be friends with everybody. And it's a shame. Give me the next verse, or read the rest of that verse out in 14.
And he that have found such a one have found a true treasure.
Have found a treasure.
Oh,
So
he found a treasure, Salakia.
if you find you a true friend, you found a treasure. Why is it saying that? Because you'll understand that this person, even if it upsets you, they're not going to let you do something that's wrong or that's harmful to yourself. This person loves you so much that they're going to protect you.
Right.
They're going to make sure that you're going to thrive in life. Read next verse, Salaki.
Nothing doeth
Dove.
countervail
Gone.
a faithful friend.
Right. So it's nothing better than a faithful friend. You can't tell me. Like, I know everybody has. I mean, I can't even say everybody. We live in a wicked world. So I know me. I got some faithful friends. I got some faithful brothers. I know what it's like to have people that you could rely on. And trust me, having people that you could rely on goes a long way. And why am I saying that? Because if you fall or if you slip up somewhere, not saying that you should be looking to do that, but if you fall or slip up somewhere, you could definitely count on them. Right. Or God forbid you find yourself in a situation like the brother Daniel, and you may slip up and you start drowning. Your brothers or your friends will help you.
Right.
So think about it. There's nothing better than a faithful friend. Read on.
And his excellency is inviolable.
Exactly.
A faithful friend is the medicine of life.
Right.
And they that fear the Lord shall find him.
So when you keep these commandments, you'll find faithful friends. Salakia. For everybody in the world who is saying, man, I can't trust my homies. Or man, I can't trust my girl. Or man, I can't trust my man. For everybody that's out there saying these things, there's a place set up where you actually can trust. And it's in the ISUPK. It's in the doors of the ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana. Because here we teach brotherhood. Here we teach sisterhood. Here we teach you how to shed yourself from this wicked world and do things accordingly in order. Because there's an order to how things have to be done. There's a playbook on how to be a friend. There's a playbook on how to be a brother. And because these other nations don't know that playbook, they don't do it. So we have to start understanding that so that we don't deal with them like brothers and like friends.
Right.
Give me verse 17 and you could drop it after that.
Verse 17. Whoso feareth the Lord shall direct his friendship aright.
Right.
For as he is, so shall his neighbor be also.
Right. So if you a brother and you see your brother, doing something he shouldn't be doing, you'll pull him to the side and give him some counsel, and you'll show him the right way to do things. You'll be a brother, because in our world, just these two situations aside, in our world we see brothers getting wicked counsel. A lot of brothers, OGs or big homies, they ain't leading them to do nothing different than what they did. They
Right.
leading them right down the same hole, the same gutter that they've been. And also, I'm not just going to put all the blame on the older brothers, because the younger brothers as well are too comfortable with following after ignorance. Like I seen a video, Salakia, just a little sidebar. I seen a video of what's the rapper name? What's that rapper name? He be like, it's cool when you do it. Yeah, finesse 2 times. Yeah, he was the little kid he was raising, King.
Yeah.
He had went online and he was just having a whole rant about how he was mad that finesse 2 times made him sleep in a Spider-Man bed. Like, you a kid. He wanted to be in the streets with finesse 2 times and doing all this other stuff. He want finesse 2 times to bring him into a life that is not, it's not good to him for him to thrive.
Right.
And he's trying to keep him separate from that by keeping him in a kid's place, by putting him in a kid environment. So we as a people, we have to start realizing when we're introducing our people to things that are destructive too early. And shout out to Finesse 2 times for trying to put him in that kid environment, because that young man needs guidance. That
Right.
young man needs brotherhood. That young man needs structure. And without it, he's going to become another statistic. And give me First Maccabees chapter 2 verse 50. Because we need to look back, man. We need to look back on the traditions of old, man. And we need to look at what our ancestors did. Like, I had an Arab tell me that I should be celebrating the 4th of July. That I should be happy because we're free. And I'm like, well, my people aren't free. My people are struggling. My people are down in this place. And he wanted to argue me down, about how his people was oppressed and they fought back. And I just didn't get it, because he told me a whole story about how his people fought back, but was on the same hand telling me to tell my people not to fight back. So it's like we had to start to recognize that the council in this world, or the council in Babylon, is of Babylon. These people support Babylon, and they support the customs of it. And we had to separate from it, because the book said we was holy. The scripture said we was superior. We was way better than everybody else. So why would we go and, just do what they're doing? You got that? The scripture? First Maccabees.
Khan. This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 2, verse 50. Now, therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law.
Listen, you gotta have a certain spirit towards the law.
Right.
You gotta have a spirit to where you understand why it's good. Like, let me see. Hold that for me real quick. Like the scriptures say, we fight for our laws and our lives. Yeah, this the hold that scripture in Maccabees. This the book of First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 21. It says, but we fight for our lives and our laws. So we have to understand that, it's a fight every day. And we have to be zealous. We got to be real. What's the word I'm looking for? We just got to be real on point. We got to be real on point when it comes to this law, because it's a good thing. And not only is it a good thing, it's how we live. It's how we continue to thrive. Because if we don't have anything that governs us, we fall. And you know, it's evident. We see sisters going out, dating other nations and perishing. We see brothers going out, doing things with other nations and perishing. And right now, I mean, I'm not saying that it wasn't happening before, but this is all I see on social media. Every single day, a new thing about how a brother or a sister was taken advantage of in Babylon. And it's like, when will all of us collectively just be like, yo, you know what? This been going on for too long.
All right.
Read out the rest of that verse in Maccabees.
And give your lives.
Call it out for the people online.
This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 2, verse 50. Therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law, and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers.
You should be willing to die for this law. Like, brothers is too willing to die for a cause that doesn't have nothing to do with us succeeding. Brothers is willing to die for a block. Brothers is willing to die for a piece of paper. Brothers is willing to die for a clique that was made up in school. Brothers is willing to sacrifice their lives for covenants that have nothing to do with us as a people thriving. But the covenant of our fathers that was made with the Most High, if we give our lives to that, how righteous would it be for us to die for that? How righteous would it be for us to die for the law? You understand? It's like, wouldn't you rather die for the Most High than to die for yourself, or to die for, you know, a cause that many other people died for no reason, that was in ignorance? Like, for instance, the Bloods and the Crips. How many brothers and sisters can we say that cause or that covenant has, you know, taken from us? Give me he who tries to save his life shall lose it. It's in Matthew. It's like, yeah. Because we just got to understand, you know, the cause that we're fighting for is only going to lead to destruction. Unless you fighting for the law, statutes, and commandments, you teaching our people to be the least. You teaching our people to be the worst. Like we've already been. We've already been at the bottom of the barrel. So why would we teach our people to stay there instead of teaching our people, yo, you know what? It's a better way. You know what? You ain't gotta go out with Esau and you know, rock out with him. You can come rock out with us. We brothers too. You know, we going through the same thing too. So we could devise a plan to get out of our oppression. And we don't even have to devise the plan. That's the crazy thing. It's already here. You got it?
Khan, this is the book of Luke, chapter 17, verse 33. Whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it, and whosoever shall lose his life shall preserve it.
Right. So if you lose your life for my sake, it said lose your life for my sake, or just lose your life.
It's a lose your life. If he who seeks to save his life shall lose it, and whoever shall lose his life shall preserve it.
All right, so it's another one just like it, but that's too wild for now.
Salakia, Matthew.
Yeah,
This is Matthew chapter 16, verse 25. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it.
Right. So if you're losing your life for the Most High's cause, or for his covenant, or for what he wants you to lose your life for, don't you think that he has something in store for you that's righteous? Don't you think that you might gain something from that? Because what do we gain for dying for the Bloods? What do we gain for dying for the Crips? Or what do we gain for dying for a block? Nothing. That block remains that block, and new people move in, and none of us ever own anything. So it's like, how long will this system endure? Let's go back to Maccabees real quick. Second Maccabees 2:51. First Maccabees 2:51.
This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 2, and verse 50.
51.
51, Salakia. Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time.
Listen, we got to remember what our ancestors did in their time. We have to remember the Nat Turners. We have to remember the people who read this book and understood that we are oppressed. We have to remember the people who did right and not the people who did wrong. Like our people want to remember the Cardi B's, the Megan Thee Stallions, the who's some more people? I ain't the best.
Shorty Red, I don't.
Yeah, whatever. Our people want to remember all of the worst examples.
Young
You
Miami.
understand? Young Miami. You understand? What's his name? Will Smith.
Oh man.
You know what I mean? We just
Yes,
want to
like
remember everything. Tyler Perry. We want to remember all these things that have destroyed us instead of remembering the things that have lifted us up and just showed us something truthful. Like Nat Turner, he gave us a great look into reality, into the fact that we are oppressed,
right,
into the fact that we should gather ourselves and get up out of here. You know what I mean? But because it's not enough of us that are one mind, one body, and one spirit, because enough of us don't fight for our laws and our lives, we perish. We perish because we care about the rudiments of the world and what this world has to offer. We perish. Give me Tobit 4 and 12. You know what I mean? I wanna so I can get there. I wanna just let everybody know that when it comes to the law, that is probably the best thing that happened to us. And so like you could hold that in Tobit real quick. I'm gonna go real quick. This is the book of Psalms 147 in verse 19. It says, he showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments into Israel. So to the 12 tribes of Israel, to the blacks, Hispanics, and natives, that's who the Most High showed his judgments to. And how great of a thing is that? How great of a thing is it that we're the only people on the face of the earth who got told what to do by the Most High? The very next verse says, he have not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. So Barakatah Yahweh, why Yahweh shot for the law? Because the law gave us life. The law gave us direction. The law is how we could see clearly and not through a glass darkly. Give me that verse in Tobit.
This is the book of Tobit, chapter 4, verse 12. Beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers.
So if the sister Say Robinson had this counsel, she may have still been here with us today. If many other sisters and brothers, had taken this counsel, they could have avoided many situations. You understand? Because the counsel that was laid up from before, that was about the best thing to guide us. Because you got to think, if we're a special people and we start to wash down who we are, we're no longer that peculiar treasure. we're no longer a special people. We just like everybody else. So you have to remember that you have self-worth, because this place is going to try to teach you that you're not worth anything. This place is going to teach you that you're a scum.
Right.
Like I just recently, so again, let me find this thing. I just recently seen an article, not an article, but a post about how it's a preacher or a pastor, somebody, and he's give me on that, search up on that computer, Dale Partridge. It should already be up there, but he's basically a pastor. You know, he's from Arizona, and basically he's teaching right now that the so-called African Americans should be enslaved by the Europes. We should go back to how the way things were, because we're so descendants of Ham. And if we are knowledgeable enough, we'll see that these people, they really don't like us. They really don't see us as like you all you got to do is look in the Constitution. That's all you got to do to see that they don't really care about you, to see that you shouldn't be celebrating no 4th of July. That's all you really got to do. It's like it happened.
You said Dale who?
Partridge.
Partridge?
Yep. Kind. Yeah, so I mean, and it's cool. You don't even really gotta we ain't even gotta go too deep into it. You know what I mean? I just wanted to, bring that up, that there are people out here who don't think that we should, just be free. And y'all have to keep that in mind. You understand? Read the rest of that. And you still got Tobit? Yeah, read the rest of that out for me.
Con. And take not a strange woman to wife.
Like, what would be a strange woman? Somebody of these other nations. Like, if you were to get an Arab, a Moabite, a Hivite, somebody from Ham, just any of these other nations, if they are not a descendant of what they'll actually show you in this verse who you should take a wife of, or for this, there's who you should take a husband of. Read on.
Which is not thy father's tribe.
Right. So if you're a black, Hispanic, or a native, you shouldn't be taking somebody to wife or somebody to husband, or you shouldn't be having sexual relations with somebody who is not of your tribe or your father's tribe or just your nation of people. And this doesn't come from us. This doesn't come from us saying it. It comes from the Most High God. It comes from His law. So this is another way how we see how the law gives us light and gives us direction. Because without law, we would have been thinking just like every other nation thinks, that we could just, sleep with whoever we want.
Right.
Like, think about it. You don't see Esau worrying about who he's sleeping with. You don't see Ham or Japhet worrying about who they sleeping with. I mean, don't get me wrong. I even look into the Asiatic culture, and they pretty strict on their traditions. They don't allow, well, it's frowned upon, I should say, when they intermingle. And I just look at my people, and my people don't really frown upon that. And they should. And I think that it's a terrible thing that we don't, because the Most High God said that we shouldn't. Even back in Deuteronomy, He said because it was going to turn our hearts, and that's exactly what it did. He said because it was going to lead us into destruction, and that's exactly what it did. Read on. Which is not, Salakia.
Salakia.
For we are
the children of the prophets.
right.
No, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Right. So if they are not from Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob in that order, then you should not be, dealing with them in that manner.
Right.
In the manner of a sexual manner, or, just anything like that. You should try to, not even try. You shouldn't do it, because the Most High said, don't do it. Read on. Remember, my
Slack.
son.
I got
remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even that they all married wives of their own kindred.
So when we look back at our ancestors, they married people of their kin. They married people of their people. They kept it inside. They didn't go to the outskirts, to the other people, and experiment, and try this and try that. They didn't do all that. They kept it. Like, here's a book that the blood stay pure. We need to keep our blood pure.
Right.
We don't need to allow them to wash us down, because we washed down enough as a people. You understand? We broken enough as a people. You understand? And why would we let a people who hunts our steps, a people who hates, has a perpetual hatred? Like, think about it. They look at you as merchandise, and you would like to have a relationship with them. So you're searching for love, and they're searching to use. So how do you think that's going to end? It ain't going to end good at all. And this is why being mindful and having knowledge is the way out.
Right.
And I'm not just saying get any knowledge, because our people will go and get any knowledge. I'm saying get the knowledge of the Most High God. Understand that the Most High God set up a way from the beginning for you to avoid this. Any more in that verse?
And we're blessed in their children, and their seed shall inherit the land.
that's it.
Okay. All right, give me the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4. Here we go.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 1. Now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live.
Listen, the Most High God said that we should listen to the things he told us to do so that we could live. Because when you look around, right, what can you honestly say that, like, when it comes to survival techniques, what do black people pass down for survival technique? Just traditions on how to survive and how to live, how to, just flourish. What do black people honestly pass down? Anybody in the class? Like, what can y'all say y'all generations have always passed down as a, just something for how to survive in the world? Has it been wicked or
Trauma.
trauma? You say trauma? I could agree. And when you go into that a little bit, what you mean by that? Like, when you say they pass down trauma for survival, what you mean by that?
They pass down that survival tactic to like all right, for a sister might not be raised by her parents. She might have been raised by her grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
And in her life, they might it to her, anybody that came around just left her or discarded her. You know what I mean? And she have a child,
Mm-hmm.
and she teaches that child to have that same attitude or to deal with people that in that same light,
Right.
to discard them or flee them
Okay.
any chance, they feel,
So I see what you're saying. So you're saying, like, in our culture, when it comes down to, like, your parents might have went through something, and that trauma they passed down, which now becomes a defense mechanism for you.
right.
Yeah, I could agree to that, and that's very true. And you got to think about it. Instead of us passing down trauma, and instead of us trauma bonding all the time and trying to figure out the wrong ways to do stuff, we should just read in the book. Give me it's in Romans. Give me Romans 9. Give me Romans 9. Where it say things that was written aforetime. Because we need to understand that we don't need to think, man. We don't need to think about anything. All we need to think is the law. The law. We don't need to try to think about, dang, how I'm gonna deal with this situation. Because if it's in a book, there's an answer to it. Like what the brother just said, for instance, with the sister who went through something and now raises a child. What should she do? She should look to break that curse. She should look to where, how could I, because I ain't gonna lie, I think black people do look and be like, you know what, I don't want my children to go through what I went through. But we see in the Bible that this is why we shouldn't even be celebrating birthdays. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a deeper meaning to why we shouldn't celebrate birthdays as well. But we see that the day we was born in the Bible, it say that we was born to see labor and sorrow.
Right.
So we shouldn't be passing down traditions and customs that is only gonna further our indoctrination. But what we should pass down, like it said in Tobit, is the traditions of old, the things where our same people earned favor. Because did not Moses, did not Abraham, did not Jacob and Isaac
Right.
all earn favor? Did not they earn favor by just doing what they were told? It's that simple. Black people will go and make it complicated. That simple. Just do what you told. Do what you told. Don't sleep with other nations. They don't like you. Don't treat anybody like a friend. Don't credit somebody your friend before you test them. So we know that these laws and these things were set up for us to survive. We know that it was survival tactics and it was survival things set up for us from the start. So why would we go try to make our own survival tactics? Like brothers have passed down traditions like, nah, yo, you know what? Don't ask for favors because you don't want to owe nobody nothing. And that's a good tradition. You know what I mean? I ain't even gonna lie. You don't want to owe anybody, but it's also not wrong to ask for favors. So you see how like it's certain traditions and certain survival tactics that we pass down that is detrimental. Rather than passing down the law where you can see how there's a law that says if you borrow, you pay back.
Every cent.
You see how simple it can be? It's simple. Like it says, seek the Lord with a simplistic mind. That's what we're supposed to do. Just seek the Lord with a simplistic mind. So don't make it difficult. The Lord ain't the author of confusion. You got that verse in Romans?
Romans. Yep. This is the book of Romans, chapter 15, verse 4.
15.
For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
Right. So we don't have to pass down what we think is right or traditions that we made up, because the scriptures said that there was things that was written aforetime so that we could learn from. It's like life. It's life lessons in the Bible. That's what the Bible is. It's a bunch of do's and don'ts. So it's like, how are we still at the bottom when we got the blueprint? We got the blueprint of everybody that did the same things we're doing now. Give me Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. Hold on. Hold it real quick. Let me get there real quick. Make sure. Like, give me chapter 1, and you can start at verse 4. Or you know what? It's like it. Let's start at verse 1.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verse 1. The word of the preacher, the son of David,
This is the son of David.
king in Jerusalem.
He was king at the time. Verse 2.
Vanities of vanities, saith the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity.
What is vanity? Anybody in the chat or anybody in the class? What is vanity? That was a great question.
It's great.
What is vanity? If you got the answer, put it in the chat. You know what I mean? If you got the answer, raise your hand. Yeah. But I want to know what is vanities, because we see right here, you know, David's son is saying all is vanity. What does he mean by that? All is vanity. First, we'll see what is vanity. Anybody?
I'm gonna say
Like, raise your hands. Got it.
emptiness.
Emptiness. Vanity is emptiness. In what regard? Like, in what way?
I'm gonna say Salakia. To be in vain.
Be in vain is what?
To cause, I'm gonna say, like,
It's anything of yourself. So like anything of yourself. So like let's say let's read
To lead astray, Salakia.
in a sense anything of yourself. So let's read the context and let's see. Read verse 3.
Verse 3. What profit have a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun?
Right. So what profit can any man have out of all the jobs, out of all work that anybody could do on earth? What profit can we really have? What profit any of us have out of every job there is on earth? All the people who are doing underwater welding, making thousands, all the CDL drivers who's making thousands a week, all the doctors, nurses, all these people who feel like they're actually doing good. They're actually doing good in the earth. Why is David's son saying that it's vain? Like, we would think that if you're a doctor making, 5-6 figures, you're good, right? Right? Wouldn't we think that?
Yeah,
But how could it be vain? It's because if it's not the, let's see if you said it. If it's not the work of the Lord, it's vain. If you're not going to, we know vanity or anything that's vain is anything of yourself. So if I was to go and get a good job as a doctor and really start thriving, really start making money, all of that is for me, unless I pour it back into the Most High's cause. This is why it's vain. This is why it don't matter what you do on earth. If you're not doing the work of the Lord, it's for you. And we have to keep that in mind. Because the reason I went here to this chapter is just to show that. Give me verse 4.
Verse 4. One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever.
We know that this earth is going to be here forever, but our generations aren't. Our generations pass. You got the baby boom era. You got the give me some different eras. You got the Gen Zs. You got the all the different things, all the different categories that they got, all of the different generations. You understand? So as these generations pass on, it's about what we're passing down.
Right.
Because if we're not passing down something stable to stand on, like a brother brought out something real good in one of his classes about a real strong foundation. You remember that scripture about the strong foundation and the sandy foundation that you had brought out? It was a real good analogy, basically, though, and it was basically showing you how us as the blacks, Hispanics, and natives, or us as the chosen people, we need to build each other up on a strong foundation. And what would be that strong foundation? What way can foretell the future? What way can see problems before they happen? The Lord's way, the law. So if we build ourselves up on the law, we should be able to flourish.
Concept.
Oh, you got it?
I got it.
The water.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 7, and we're going to start at verse 24.
You got it when you're ready.
Therefore, whosoever heareth these things, sayings of mine, and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock.
So if you do the sayings that the Most High said to do, he gonna look at you as a wise man if you do what he said to do. But if you also build your house up on his structures, he's gonna look at it as a strong foundation. He's gonna look at it as strong as a rock. Read the next verse.
Verse 25. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat up that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock.
Right. So it doesn't matter what comes and tries to throw you off your pivot. It doesn't matter what comes and tries to destroy that foundation. As long as that foundation is strong and solid, it won't move.
Right.
It won't be swayed. Hold that real quick. I got a precept. Wave it to see. This is the book of James, chapter 1, verse 6. Slack. It say, but let him act in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Let the brother of low degree rejoice that he is exalted. So you got to remember that you don't want to build your foundation on that sandy way that could be, moved easily. You want to build your way up upon the law, because the law is going to stand no matter what happens to you. No matter what gets thrown your way, the law going to stand. So look, let me give you an example. When Christ was tempted and Satan was like, man, throw yourself off of this cliff and the angels will give charge of thee. They'll save you. What did Christ say? You give me that? It's like, yeah, I got you. It's in, got you. The scripture about Christ being tempted by Satan when he was telling them to kill himself. When he's telling them throw himself off the cliff. Christ was like, no. You understand? Because you got to think about it. Christ was such a wise brother. The scriptures say he was a store man. Well, it's likely I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but he was a real wise and stern man. So you got to understand he wasn't as the wave of the sea as the scripture just said. He wasn't a man that could be waved easily or moved easily because he built his foundation upon the law. And he was a black man. He was a black man. He was one of the first black men to build his life up and the people around him up on the law. And we see how much good he did. So why wouldn't we want to mimic him? Let me know when you got that. Hold on, so I can get it for you. It's in Matthew, if I'm not, or Mark.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 4, and verse 6.
You got it.
Salagia.
You can start at verse 5.
Verse 5. Then the devil taketh him up into the holy city and setteth him on a pinnacle of the temple and said unto him.
So he set him up at a high point. You understand? And this is what he said to him.
If thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge concerning thee.
So now Satan is trying to tempt Christ. And if Christ was as a wave of the sea, he would have jumped. But because Christ was an austere man, and because Christ was stern, and because Christ built his life upon the law, this is the answer he got. Read on.
For Salagia, and in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. Verse 7. Yahweh Shah Mashiach said unto him, it is written again, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God.
So he gave him the law. He said, man, you shouldn't tempt the Most High. You understand? So instead of getting into a different temptation, instead of getting into a situation that was real thick, he didn't make a hasty decision. He just relied on the law. And this is what our people had to start to do. We have to start to rely on the law for everything, every little thing. Who should we date? Look back at the law. Who should we love? Look back at the law. How should we choose friends? Look at the law. Because this is how we avoid any more Daniel Irvings. This is how we avoid any more Sade Robinsons. This is how we avoid any more Sonia Massey, Salakia, if I'm butchering her name. But this is how we avoid all of these circumstances. Like integration had to be one of the worst things for us. It had to be one of the worst things because it took us out of the mindset of understanding separation and out of understanding that separation was a good thing. You know what I mean? You tell Black or Hispanic nowadays that they do not belong with everybody and they hate you for it. And it's crazy. But, you know, with that being said, you got the joint. So like, yeah, one second. All right, we got one more verse we're going to read. We're going to close it out. Give me the book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 6. And we need to understand that, knowledge is the best for us.
Hosea 4 and
6. You know, knowledge is the thing that's going to get us out of, you know, oppression. You understand? And it's not anybody's knowledge, it's the knowledge of the Most High and the knowledge of His law and what He has to give for us. Because we can't keep relying on our knowledge. Our knowledge is what's going to keep us down. And we have to start to rely on the law, like Moses, Abraham, you know, Isaac, Jacob, and the people after that. Go ahead, read it out when you got it.
Khan, this is the book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge.
Right.
Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee.
Right. So understand that the brothers and sisters who was unalive for doing things they couldn't have been doing, they was just rejected by the Most High. They was rejected. And it's unfortunate, but we need to wake up. We need to wake up and see that our lives is not like everyone else's lives. Like, you're a special people. Like, think about this. If you're the only one in the world, imagine you was the only person in the world who knew the right thing to do. Don't you think that you would have more of a punishment than anybody else? So you have to realize that you're being punished for knowing the right thing to do and not doing it. You understand? Any questions in the chat? Any questions in the room? Y'all good? All right, with that being said, I'm going to pass the class over to Priest and Officer Makawar.
ISUPK security announcements. Rules for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are to be saluted only. They are off limits for 6 months. They are here to learn and shed themselves of the world. If any transportation is needed, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister is interested in a particular person, they are to seek counsel from the heads. Tithes, which is a commandment, Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10. Ma'ashah means 10th in Hebrew, 10th of every penny of increase the Lord gives you. Priest funds is anything that anything that you feel is you can give. It's not mandatory. Holy convocations is
The memorial blowing trumpets.
the memorial blowing the trumpets. We're going to have it right here in Delaware. All the brothers, Black, Native Americans, and Hispanics, come get down with us. If any brother wants to become a trooper, start wearing all black boots, headbands, shirts, pants, scarf. With that being said, men of Israel, Amijah means to stand. We're going to give a courtesy salute. Amijah. Salat. Amijah Shabbat. Amijah Barak.
Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shah Barakatah.
Yajmatah. We're going to turn to the sisters, give a courtesy salute to the sisters. Sisters stand. Men of Israel, Amijah. Amijah Shabbat. Barak.
Yahweh Shamar Alatham by Hashem Yahweh Shah.
Yajmatah. Class. Slide.
Yahweh, Shamar, Laqarab, Hashem, Yahweh.
Yajmatah. Class dismissed.